Well, good morning, Santa Clarita. Good to have you. Welcome in, and happy Friday. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is SCVi and iLead School's Eye on the Valley. I am your host, Matt Watson, and for those of you that are new to the show, our show, Eye on the Valley, is brought to you by SCVi and iLead Charter Schools. We are a network of charter schools with campuses in Castaic, Agua Dulce, Lancaster. We've got a fully accredited online school. We've got a beautiful home study program. The directors call it independent study, but most of our families pronounce it homeschool. That's called iLead Exploration. We're going to hear from some students at iLead Exploration in just a few minutes. But we've got campus-based schools, hybrid models. We've got online, like I said, home study. And you can get information on any of our schools at iLeadschools.org. And remember, we are charter schools, which means we are public schools funded by your tax dollars. So thank you very much. No tuition or anything at all like that. So again, while you're listening, check us out at iLeadschools.org. We like to say that we keep our eye on education here in the Valley and across the nation, and then we also keep our eye on the Valley as well, bringing you everything that you need to know about what's what here in the Valley. And in the time in between, we try to put a little smile on your face, because, or maybe a chuckle, because, if you can't laugh while you're doing it, maybe you shouldn't be doing it. You know what I mean? So, we've got a fantastic show lined up for you today. It is Rivals Week. Why do we call it Rivals Week? Because Rivalry Week is too hard to say, right? It's even harder to say than Dennis Sugasawara, right? I flubbed that guy's name a couple weeks ago. But, we got college football rivalry games coming up tomorrow, and most notably here in town, we've got the mighty UCLA Bruins playing that other school downtown that Engineer Andrew likes to cheer for. So maybe we'll get into that a little bit later today. But we've got an amazing show. We've got 3 young scientists joining us this morning. They have designed an amazing experiment. I'm really excited to kind of just hear how. I'm excited to hear this. They've designed an experiment that will be conducted in space here in just a few months. They're prepping it to be sent to Florida for launch soon. Very, very exciting. And I mentioned that they're young scientists. Did I mention that they're 8th grade? Yeah, pretty incredible. We'll get to them in just a little bit. And then in hour number 2, we've got free groceries. Yeah, for real. No, this is not a radio giveaway. It's a free grocery store right here in Santa Clarita. Bradley Gross, one of the greatest guys in town, founder of the Santa Clarita Grocery, free grocery store, meeting the needs of our neighbors year-round, will be here to talk about the struggles that he's been having meeting the need for the Thanksgiving holiday as we head into this week of Thanks next week. And well, he's really pounding the pavement trying to work things out, and you can help. So that'll be in hour number 2. And then, as always, Big T will be here at the end of the show. He'll have Papa's Pick of the Week. I think we're going to force Papa to pick between UCLA and USC. It would be apropos, wouldn't it? He'll have a fun fact or two, some trivia, probably a joke or two at my expense, because big brothers like to pick on people. And, so we'll have some fun, we'll have some laughs, and we'll send you off on your weekend with a smile on your face and all kinds of fun stuff to do in and around town. So stick around. It is going to be a great show. As I mentioned, my first guests are young scientists, these 3 8th grade students to be precise. Earlier this year, they were asked to tackle the challenge of what it's going to take for humans to colonize and live on the moon or Mars. Well, they took that challenge head on, and soon the experiment that they've designed will be sent to space. I'm not kidding. It will be sent to space to be conducted by actual astronauts on the International Space Station. And, it gets better, because not only are they 8th grade classmates, but they're siblings, triplets, and they are Team Roly-Poly. Now, Jen, I have a question for you. Those bugs that look like little armadillos, are they pill bugs or roly-polies?
Those are roly-polies.
Those are roly-polies.
Yeah.
Is this a regional thing?
It might be, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Midwest, we call them roly-polies.
All right, okay. All right. I called them roly-polies growing up here on the West Coast. But
okay.
Anyways.
I've heard of pill bug, but that might be the... No, I don't think that's the scientific name for them.
I don't know. We'll ask our scientists. Mm-hmm. They are Capri, Ryder, and Grayson Yagella. Capri, Ryder, Grayson, welcome to Eye on the Valley. Good to have you.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
So glad that you're here. Really excited about your project. You know, this project every year gets me excited, but you guys are doing something a little bit historical, a little bit unique when it comes to even this project. Let's start with the three of you. How long have you been attending iLead Exploration?
We've been attending iLead for about third grade now, and it was like just before COVID.
Okay. Oh, wow. So you started just before COVID. Yeah. So, gosh, you guys went to a home study program. Well, tell me, were you in a home study program prior to coming to iLead? Were you at a traditional brick and mortar? Where were you before third grade?
Yeah, we were at a public school, so yeah.
Okay, so you were in a traditional district school. Oh gosh, so right before everybody went home to study, y'all went home to study, but you did so intentionally and enrolled at iLead Exploration's home study program. Okay, so was there a reason? It wasn't the COVID shift because you said it was right before. What was the reason that you and your families decided to switch to a home study program?
The reason we decided to switch is because teachers who teach at public schools, they're always great, but it's hard for them to give like individual learners what they're most interested in because they need to be in like a very strict schedule, and
Right.
everyone follows the same schedule. Like, take me for example. I love learning about the brain, and I also love entomology. You usually don't learn that in 8th grade, but I'm learning because I'm interested in it.
Oh, fantastic! So y'all made this switch so that you could focus on kind of your individual interests, and I suppose you can accelerate or maybe slow down if you need to. And
Yeah.
okay, fantastic. So, what do you like most about? It's interesting. I've had students in that have never known anything different, right? They've been in a home study program since TK, but you all know the difference. I'm sure you remember what it was like in first, second, third grade. So what do you like most about iLead Exploration's independent study program?
Personally, for me, I like the individualized of it, that we can learn at our own pace, which can sometimes be ahead of what they normally teach.
Right.
Like currently, we're doing Algebra 2, which is not normally taught in 8th grade classrooms, so yeah.
You're absolutely right. Yeah, at best in 8th grade, you're going to get Algebra 1, usually pre-algebra. But yeah, if you're advanced enough, why not take Algebra 2? And typically the answer is, well, we don't teach that in 8th grade. So yeah, fantastic. So let's talk about one of those opportunities that you have now to accelerate, delve into some of your interests. You were selected for the Dream Up to Space Challenge. Before we get too deep into your project, can y'all just give our listeners a background and understanding of what the Dream Up to Space project is?
So, the Dream Up to Space is a project where you create an experiment that you can send up to a microgravity environment. And so there's like people from all over iLead, and they build a proposal, and then they send it in, and if they get selected, then they can send something to the ISS.
Okay, and the ISS, short for International Space Station.
Yep.
So you had other kids in your school, and for those that don't know, and I don't know if you guys know, iLead Exploration has about 3,000 students, and that's TK through 12th grade. The project is open. It's open to all of our students, but pretty much we get submissions starting at around 3rd or 4th grade all the way through high school. And you're right, there were quite a few projects proposed, and out of all of the ones proposed, y'all were selected, right? And that doesn't mean that everybody else's project wasn't great, but typically it has to do with kind of constraints of the project. So I think we'll get in. Well, let's talk about the constraints of the project, because it's pretty, like, you can't send up a massive package up to the International Space Station. You can't send up a hamster in a cage, running around on his wheels. Can one of you talk about what it is that you have to work with? What you've got to fit your project within?
We have to use a 7-inch mix stick, and it's pretty small, so we need to make sure that we have a small amount of pill bugs to be sent to space. That way they're not all crowded in there.
Right. And so you said it's 7 inches long. We're talking about something maybe about the quarter of a size of a popsicle, right? And so that's your entire experiment has to fit in there. And then you've got a couple of clamps that you can use, right, to either keep things separated or bring things together. We'll talk a little bit more about the specifics of your project because I want to get deep into that. But you mentioned individualized learning and how you're able to customize your curriculum. You're able to learn. Now you learn all the state content, right, and everything that you're required to learn, but you learn it in your way, following your own interests. But is this a mandatory project? Is this something assigned to all 8th graders or everybody in the school?
No, this is an optional thing. We originally heard about it from the newsletter that iLead sends, and there's like so many different iLead programs that you can do. So this is just one of them.
Okay, very cool. So you guys kind of opted in. That sounds interesting to us. What I think I love most about this project is the authenticity, right? I remember growing up, and I did lots of experiments when I was in science class in school. And, then the next year, the kids that were a year younger than me did the same exact experiment. And they'd been doing the same experiment for 25, 30 years. And scientists had been doing that experiment for the last couple hundred years. But what I love about this is it's not that typical science fair where you learn something that we already know, right? This is new information to you, but the world's known this. Not true in this case. Y'all are looking to learn something or discover something that's new for the scientific community. And you are the project initiators of this unique experiment we don't know the results of. So you're not recreating the experiment, you're creating it. So can you tell me why the folks at NASA are so interested in learning about microgravity? And we'll talk about what that means, too, because I learned something.
Microgravity is just such a cool environment since, sometimes if you put something in a different environment, you could really, really, know a lot more about it.
Okay.
And so, there's a lot of traditional experiments done are one that's already been done before. But with this program, you actually get to, find something new. And,
Sure.
It would be cool since maybe in the future someone can actually cite our source. And this could really grow. Maybe there can be little pillbug colonies on the moon, or little pillbug colonies on Mars. And so it's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And gosh, as long as I've been doing this show and talking to folks that are sending experiments up to the ISS, I never thought about that. But you're absolutely right. You guys may be a footnote in somebody's thesis or doctoral thesis or something like that. I do want to, because we've used the phrase a few times now, microgravity. I want to educate our listeners a little bit because I grew up not thinking. I grew up knowing that there's zero gravity in space, right? We're going to a zero gravity environment. You go into space, there's no gravity. It's everything floats. Well, that's not true, is it? I learned that that's actually wrong. Everything that I was taught about space and gravity is wrong. So can you talk to us about that phenomenon? What is microgravity and how does it work?
So everything in space does have gravity, but bigger objects tend to have a greater gravitational pull than smaller objects. So something as small as an apple does have a gravitational pull, but it's not as big as a big planet like Earth. So means in the ISS they do have gravity, it's just not as strong as a bigger planet. Also, they're always falling in the ISS because they bounce off the Earth's gravitational pull, so they're always actually gonna falling. So it's like if you're falling in the elevator, you go straight up. That's how they're doing it in the ISS.
What a great comparison. It's like the elevator's going down and you're kind of up in the air. You're falling kind of at the same rate. So being in space isn't that you're floating. You're just constantly falling and you never land. So that's what microgravity is. That is fantastic. So you've got this experiment and we've mentioned pill bugs. I've got all different kinds of questions, and like I said, I want to dive deep, but what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll come back and talk about that project. Capri, Ryder, and Grayson Yagela are triplets, 8th grade students at iLead Exploration, and scientists whose experiment has been chosen to be conducted, on the International Space Station, coming up here in the spring of 2025. Every time I talk about this project, like I said, it just completely blows my mind, and the three of you are absolutely taking it to the next level. By the way, before we go, friends, if you're interested in our school, whether it's our home study program, you can go to iLeadExploration.org for more information. Click enroll now. Get on the wait list, whether it's for second semester or for next school year. We'll be right back. We're going to go to some quick commercial breaks. We'll be back with Capri, Ryder, and Grayson because your guys' work isn't even half done. You got a lot more to do, so stick around. I'm Matt Watson. This is SCVi and iLead School's Eye on the Valley. You're listening to your hometown station, KHTS. Welcome back. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is Matt Watson, and you are listening to SCVi and iLead School's Eye on the Valley. I'm joined this morning by Capri, Ryder, and Grayson Yagella, 8th grade students at iLead Exploration. They are siblings in our independent study, home study school, who have designed an experiment that they are sending to space, where astronauts on the International Space Station will be conducting the experiment that they wrote, that they designed according to their exact specifications. Did you ever do that in school? No, you did not. So I just want to take a second to reiterate that that this is a project that is open to any iLead student that wants to get involved. That's any one of our classroom-based schools in Santa Clarita, Agua Dulce, Lancaster, as well as our online school or our home study programs. You can get more information about any of those schools at iLeadSchools.org, specifically the home study program that the Yagella triplets attend, iLeadExploration.org. So the project that you're working on is called Dream Up to Space. The Dream Up to Space project it's remarkably innovative and exciting. I mean, innovative, yeah, to say the least, right? We've got 8th graders sending the experiment that they wrote and designed up to the International Space Station. Astronauts are going to follow your instructions rather than you guys following astronauts or a teacher's instructions. But among the Dream Up to Space projects that our students have conducted in the past, because we've been doing this for a few years, yours is really unique and historical in one sense. In the past, most experiments have been around the germination and growth of plants. So, for example, we talked about the constraints of your experiment. It's this 7-inch little tube, right, that you've got to fit everything inside. So what most of the projects have been around is, will this plant grow in space? So we'll put a couple of seeds in the middle, and we'll put some water on one side and some, it's like poison on the other side, and we'll clip them off, right? And then the astronauts will unclip the water and shake it together and leave it for 6 weeks to see if the seed starts growing. And then, of course, we have to kill it with the poison because we don't want the seed to start growing after the project's return to space, right? And so then our students can see, yeah, it grew, or no, it didn't grow, and let's see if we can figure out why not. We've had some inorganic substances. We had some coffee grounds. I guess that's organic, but we had some coffee grounds sent up. The very first one we sent up was a little bit of iron. The students wanted to see if iron would still rust in space and if it rusted faster or slower, because that's going to be important, right? We need to know that stuff. But like I said, your experiment is historical and very unique because it involves animals. You've mentioned pill bugs. Some of our listeners might call them roly-polies. Those are the same bugs, by the way, yeah. Right? Same thing? Yeah. Okay, so can you explain what your project is? You're going to stuff these little guys in a tube? What's going on? Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to put these pill bugs in a tube with soil, water, and pulverized apples.
Soil, water, pulverized apples. Okay, because I know that pill bugs enjoy being in the dirt. The apples, I'm assuming, is food, right?
Yes.
Water for them to drink?
They actually have gills, so they need to keep their gills moist.
Interesting. I didn't realize that pill bugs had gills. Who knew? Okay, so, gosh, we could go in a totally different direction, but we won't. We'll stay focused, Watson. Stay focused. Okay, so you've got these little pill bugs. You've got some water and some apples for them. You've got this little environment, this whole teeny tiny biome for your pill bugs, because you're sending them up into space. Once they get up there, what are they going to do? Are the scientists going to let them loose?
No, the astronauts don't do anything for our experiment.
Okay.
We have two sides of it. We have the combination of water, soil, and apple with maybe 3 pill bugs, and the other side is the same combination without the pill bugs. We're going to test the pH level before we launch the rocket, then we're going to test it after it lands.
So you're more using the pill bugs as the scientists, right? You're testing the soil, not what happens to the bugs.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. And so do you guys think, you talked about the pH level. Do you guys think that it's going to change after the pill bugs have been in there messing around with it?
Well, that's our experiment. That's what we're hoping to see, if the pH changes. And the pH is good for like a lot of particular plants. A higher pH, they kind of need that to survive, and we're hoping that pill bugs can help us do that.
I love this. And so this is going to kind of go part and parcel with some of those other experiments that we talked about. Our different students that have tested to see which plants are going to grow in space. They're going to need soil with a higher pH. And if we can keep the pill bugs alive and keep them helping the soil out, assuming your experiment is successful, then you'll have rich soil with a higher pH that'll help these plants grow that we'll hopefully be sending up there. At the beginning of the show, you heard Jen and I playing around a little bit about, is it a pill bug? Is it a roly-poly? It sounds like it's the same bug. But in your experiment, y'all use the scientific name, right? What's the scientific name of a pill bug?
Armadillo.
Vulgare.
Oh yeah, Armadillo vulgar. Sorry, sorry.
That's okay.
That's
So
my
it's
bad.
Armadillidium vulgare,
Perfect.
right? That's Latin, right? And in English, it's vulgar armadillos. Probably
or
not.
roly-poly, I don't know.
Yeah, there we go. So the scientific name is Armadillidium vulgare, and you're going to see how them interacting with the soil may change the pH. So they do change the pH of soil here on Earth, right? And so you're going to test and see if that change is the same, similar, or maybe totally radically different there in space. So can you explain why pill bugs are so important to the environment and how they can, you mentioned that higher pH helps plants. So how is that going to help contribute to sustainable agriculture?
It's going to help it because, like, different plants, they need different levels of pH. Like, berries, they need something like maybe like 7.5 level in pH. As things like trees, they might only need a 6.
Okay.
So different plants need different levels. So usually when the best soil is in between like 7.5 and 6. So the pill bugs, they help contribute to that and make it a better environment for the plants.
Okay.
And like when you're sending things to space, like one of the main things is testing plants and see if they grow. Well, they can't grow without soil. So.
Right. Yeah, you're absolutely right. So this is going to be important. Have you considered the environment for the pill bugs themselves? Are they going to be able to? Well, they're going to be on the ISS, so there's going to be oxygen there, so they're good. I was getting worried about these little pill bugs, right? But once they get to the moon or to Mars, or it's going to have to be in a contained environment. We can't just unleash them on Mars, right, Grayson?
Well, if we don't unleash them on Mars, then I don't think they would probably survive. But
okay, so I'm trying to wrap my head around this. So when we're talking about agriculture, pill bugs are going to help. Hopefully, right? You're looking to discover this. Are going to help keep the pH level of soil high. That's going to help plants grow. But this is all going to have to be in a contained environment. I'm now picturing things like corn and sunflower and things like that growing inside. Is that in order to have the oxygen and the right mix?
Yep.
Yeah. Not from our experiment, but yeah.
Yeah, right. That's a little bit further down the line. Not necessarily going to fit in a 7-inch tube, but that's kind of where you guys are taking this to. Fascinating that y'all are helping science. You're helping astronauts take those step-by-step motions of progress toward farming on Mars. Y'all are space pioneers. This is exciting. So we talked about pill bugs, and I always grew up thinking they were insects, but then I remember we learned in 5th grade insects have 6 legs. Pill bugs have a lot more than that. I never counted them. They always moved them too fast for me to count. I didn't know they had gills. So they're not insects. What kind of animal are they?
They're crustaceans. So they're actually closer to shrimp than ants.
Okay.
So some of the differences between insects and crustaceans is that insects have 3 legs on each side, whereas crustaceans have at least 5, pill bugs having 7 on each side. Also,
7 on each side. Okay.
Also, yeah, like stuff like ants, like all insects have 3 parts of their body: the head, the thorax, and the abdomen.
Right.
Whereas crustaceans only have 2: the head and the thorax.
Oh, okay. All right, interesting. Kind of like a basic snowman. Interesting. All right. So some people might think that because you created this robust proposal and your experiment was accepted, that NASA said this is something that we want to learn about, that the astronauts take from there, right? You propose something and they say, hey, that's a good idea. Your project gets accepted, and they take it and run. But that's not true. Y'all are sending up your experiment, but that's about half of your job. So what happens after the experiment's done in space? What do they do with it then?
So when the experiment's up into space, and then when we get it back in the ground, we're gonna take our result. And so we have this cool little pH tester, and we're also gonna test the pH before and after to see if there was any change. And we're hoping that these pill bugs can kind of give us control of our environment, since mostly we can't really control our pH, but these pill bugs we can utilize them as a tool to control the pH of our soil.
Okay, I want to ask a challenge question here, and I don't know if you guys have considered this or not. Might give you something to chew on as you're continuing to move forward in the process. As I mentioned, the plant-based experiments that our students have sent up in the past, they've sent up seeds, water, and this poison. It's kind of like a formaldehyde. And they don't let the seeds touch the water until it gets up into space, because we don't want it to start growing here on Earth, and then we get false results, right? And then the plant starts growing, hopefully, up in space, and then they kill it because they don't want it to start growing, like they don't want the seed to sit there for 6 weeks in water, and then they send it back to Earth, and it starts growing once it gets back. So they have to kill it to see what growth took place exclusively in space. Have you guys considered that the pH of the soil might change either before or after, before it gets to the space station or after it comes back? And how have you guys, if so, how do you control that?
Well, yeah, that's a good question. So we have one subject matter expert. His name is Dr. Daniel Rainbach. He actually talked about this, and he talked about, hey, what if the apple powder, if we put that before, it's like, is that apple powder going to change the pH before, and are we going to get false results? And so a lot of things we've been dealing with are trying to get the pill bugs to survive the full 30 days. Although another thing he said is we actually don't necessarily need them to survive for 30 days. I mean, we don't want them to die very quickly, but...
No, that would be tragic and sad, and we would have a little ceremony for them. But, yeah, okay, I get it. So you don't want them to die ahead of time, but if they do, your experiment might still be valid.
Yeah, 20 days into if they're on the ISS, 20 days into it, and they unfortunately pass, then it shouldn't change the results too much. Though if it was an earlier time, then it would.
Okay. So you mentioned this doctor that you're working with. Can you talk about him and your interaction with him? Sorry I missed his name. So can you share that again? Who is he? What's his area of expertise? Where did you meet him? How did you get connected with him?
His name is Dr. Daniel Rainbach, and he's actually from Scotland. And so when we were working with him, we were zooming in. So
okay.
For his PhD project, he sent worms to space. And so he basically already did the same thing that we're doing.
But with worms?
Yeah.
So how did you guys... Does he still live in Scotland, I'm assuming?
Yeah. Okay,
and so he's kind of this expert in worms in space. Y'all are doing pill bugs in space. How did you get connected with this Scottish doctor that did an experiment remarkably close to what you guys are doing? How'd you connect with him? Or did you already know him?
He was one of the experts on the panel that was judging what experiment to be selected. And he says, if this gets selected, I would be willing to help these guys. And and then he started helping us, and he's really smart, and so he really helped us with a lot of details with our experiment.
That is fantastic. What a stroke of luck. So he was just one of the scientists that your school was able to find and put on the panel that chooses which experiment flies. I'm sure he was pretty excited when he saw your abstract and so, hey, these guys are doing something pretty close to what I did. And so he stepped in and decided to be your mentor? Mm-hmm. Okay, talk about what that feels like, Capri. That's to be able to work like side by side with this guy that did kind of what you're doing now, but he did it for his PhD. What was that like?
Oh, it's definitely wonderful, and like if we have any questions, we can ask him, and he's definitely like very, very knowledgeable. In sending it for his experiments, he needed to keep his worms alive the entire experiment.
Okay.
So he's definitely like helping us like figure out like, okay, how are you going to keep them alive, and like he's like making sure that we like are considering like every single part, like making sure that we're not like having any gaps in our plan and things like that.
And this is real science because scientists collaborate with each other all the time. That is super important. Gosh, what an amazing opportunity for you guys. That is absolutely fantastic. So let's go through the steps. Right now, so you went through the idea phase, you wrote your proposal, you got the proposal accepted, you've been chosen, you had the high five moment, right? I'm sure you guys jumped up and down and celebrated. Yeah. And that's kind of where you're at now, right? Now you're in the go talk about it on the radio phase. What's next? What do you guys have to do next? What's that next step?
So we're doing experiment optimization, which is where we're doing the experiment. We're finding out like the nitty-gritty details of the exact thing that's going to be sent to the ISS. So we have to find out the exact ratio of the soil to apple powder to water. So we're just like figuring that out. So when we're doing the experiments, we have to do all the things and only one thing is changed, while everything is the same to see what affects the experiment.
Okay, so you're kind of sort of practicing the experiment over and over and over again here on Earth.
Yeah.
To get it, because you get one shot in space, right? You don't get to go, oh, that didn't work, let's try again. No, pretty expensive, so you got to get it right. Okay, so you get it right, you've got it optimized, and then from there, what do you do?
From there, I guess, well, we work it out. So when we actually send it to space, we're going to have one on Earth, then one in the ISS, and then we compare it. Once it's done.
Okay, so while the astronauts are doing your experiment in space, you're doing one here on Earth so that you can compare the two. You launch your experiment, they do it up there, you do it down here, and then we mentioned then it comes back and it gets sent back to you guys, right?
Yeah.
And then?
Well, then I guess we find out the pH of the soil to determine whether it was a success or not.
All right, so you test the pH of your soil, the pH of the space soil. Hopefully one of those pill bugs or maybe even more survived, and you can congratulate them, pat them on the head, and put them in the dirt and let them go. So, gosh, this is really exciting. So let's circle back to the fact that you're doing this amazing, important work as independent study learners or homeschoolers, right? Back when I was director of SCVi, iLead's founding school here in Santa Clarita, a 5-day-a-week classroom-based school, our students sent the first iLead experiment up to the space station. I mentioned the one with lead. That took them a long time. It took them about a year and a half to develop, and they were in the classroom with their teacher every day working on that. How does it work for you, though, as independent study students? Are you just out there on your own? You mentioned this Scottish doctor that you're working with, but what other guidance or support do you have? Are you just on your own?
So we definitely have a lot of help from Miss Melville, Miss Fredette, Miss Hagmeister. We also have a launch team. Our facilitator, Miss Jody, helps us. And, of course, our first subject matter expert, Dr. Daniel Rainbach.
There we go. So you've got the support of a lot of educators and scientists supporting you. And then you mentioned a launch team. What is a launch team? Who else is involved in this?
So we got like 3 people on our launch team that are doing the same stuff that we're doing. Like, we're having people on our launch team help with fundraising. We're having people on our launch team help with the logo making, experiment optimization. They're just helping us with everything we need to do, and we haven't met in person yet. We've mostly been Zooming, but we are going to meet in person eventually.
And are these other staff members, other teachers, or other students like yourselves?
Other students like ourselves.
Oh, cool. So you guys have designed this experiment, you got it accepted, and then they're going to kind of move in as another group of scientists to support you throughout the process. Gosh, what an exciting opportunity for them as well. Wow, this is amazing. Capri, Ryder, and Grayson, the future absolutely looks bright, and the three of you are definitely leading the way. I want to thank you so much for coming in this morning. Very impressive, and let's make sure that we touch base as you're loading your experiment and sending it out to Florida. I understand you guys get to go to Florida and see a rocket launch. And then when it comes back, we'll check in with you again and see how the experiment worked out. Thank you so much for coming in this morning. We appreciate you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Of course. And hey, Godspeed. Welcome back. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is Matt Watson, and you are listening to SCVi and iLead School's Eye on the Valley. And Capri, Ryder, and Grayson, the Yagella family, has just left the building, and it just always leaves me so impressed. This is probably the 8th or 9th time that we've had kids in the station here talking about the experiment that they're sending up to the International Space Station, and I just can't get over it. And how it just absolutely floors me that they, as young as 4th grade, we've had 4th graders send experiments up. These kids, yes, kids, 8th grade, they designed an experiment. They didn't find an experiment in a textbook that they're recreating. They weren't told by their teacher, why don't you try mixing baking soda with vinegar? But they were posed with the question, how can people survive on Mars? And they looked into kind of the cacophony of different experiments that have already been conducted and proposed something new, unique, their idea. It got approved. Now it's going to space. Well, they got a lot of work to do before it goes to space. But what an amazing opportunity for young public school students. Want to remind you, take the opportunity to remind you that all of our iLead schools are public schools. They are charter schools, and so we are free to, allow kids to propose experiments to send to space to have astronauts conduct. If you're looking for something like that, and Capri talked about how amazing it was to have a completely individualized educational experience. So if you're looking for that, whether it's on the home study side like they do, iLeadExploration.org, or if it's classroom-based where you're dropping your kid off 8 to 3 every day, or somewhere in between, online school, where we're taking care of the education, but your kids are at home online, or hybrid, we've got everything that pretty much every learner needs. So check us out at iLeadSchools.org for more information. We've got 6 different schools to choose from. iLeadSchools.org has information on all of them, and then you just click on the logo and it takes you to that individual school's website, and then up in the upper right-hand corner, if you're interested, you can click for more information. You can click to fill out the enrollment paperwork. I like to teach my families a little hack. If you're not sure, fill out the enrollment paperwork now. It doesn't cost anything. You don't lose anything, and it gets you in line ahead of others who are waiting to see the school. So, fill out the application, then request more information, and then once we call you and say, hey, you're in, then you can decide. So, for the last 2.5 weeks now, we've been following the results of our most recent election. We had back here, first week in November. Yes, we are aware of who won which races, from the presidential race all the way down to our local school boards. I actually saw, some of those races were really, really tight and were just called, or I think we saw actually not too long ago our Congressman Mike Garcia conceded to the challenger in his race, and we'll have a new congressman. But it was just 2 days ago. There was one result that was finally called, and that was on a ballot initiative. It was now, of course, it hasn't been officially certified by the state. That doesn't happen for a couple more weeks now, and so sure, anything could change. But it looks like finally this among the closest elections was Proposition 32. This was a proposed increase in California's minimum wage, and just read, like I said, 2 days ago, they are calling it, and Proposition 32, by the narrowest of margins, was defeated. So Prop 32 was a proposition that would have raised the state minimum wage from $16 per hour to $18 per hour. And it's interesting, on the surface, unless you're a business owner or, the CFO, sounds like a good idea, right? Pay people more money. So yeah, when we talk about raising that minimum wage, we often we talk about burger flippers, right? We talk about those entry-level jobs. We talk about single mothers struggling to feed their kids, and people working on the lowest end of the income spectrum, struggling to get by, to make a livable wage. But what often gets lost in the debate, and other people will say, yeah, but those are entry level, those are students, and people argue that point. But what gets lost in that debate is how that affects the rest of the income spectrum. So yeah, when you bump up the minimum wage, those people making just above minimum wage have to be bumped up as well. And sure, it's kind of like a train, right? You can't move the caboose without moving the rest of the cars. But most of you were probably unaware that when we raise the minimum wage, we also have to raise the salaries, right? So it's not just the hourly workers that would go up with a raise of minimum wage. We also raise the minimum salary. What's the difference? Let me explain. So minimum wage is that's the minimum hourly wage. But in California, we have a law that says if you've got a salaried employee, someone who's exempt, right? This is someone who doesn't get overtime, right? You work extra hours. Hey, that's just the law of the West. You're a salaried employee. You don't punch a time card. State law in California requires the minimum salary. If you're going to be on salary, if you're going to be exempt from that overtime, if you're not going to punch a card, that it be double minimum wage. Yeah. So if minimum wage currently at $16 an hour, if you're going to be salaried, it's essentially the equivalent of $32 an hour, right? Or $32 times 40. And that's going to be your weekly salary. So if you bump that up, so let's talk about that $16 an hour minimum. $16 minimum hourly wage, that means for a salaried employee, lowest possible salary in the state of California, $66,500 for a full-time worker. Mm-hmm. It's nothing that you can buy a house, especially here in Santa Clarita on, but to compare, it's about double what I started making when I was actually significantly over double what I was making when I was a first-year teacher. Well, Matt, you're an oldster. That was a long time ago. True. When I started working at SCVi just 13 years ago, as a teacher, 16 years experience, multiple degrees. I had worked as an administrator in the past. The minimum salary is currently about $12,000 over what I started at SCVi. Now, what happens if we just add a couple dollars to that, right? $16 to $18 an hour, it's relatively an insignificant bump. Well, that takes minimum salary up to $75,000. So if you've got someone who's, let's take my field, for example, a teacher. That makes minimum wage for a teacher $75,000 a year. Minimum salary for anybody, $75,000 a year. Interestingly, side note, public schools and private schools are exempt, and they can pay their teachers significantly less than that. Charter schools? No, we follow nonprofit law, and so we are required to follow those minimum salaries. So we're actually required to pay our new teachers significantly more. Yeah, you can apply it at schools.org, by the way. But yeah, and $75,000 might not sound like a lot, but think about if you're trying to balance the budget at your school or at your business, right? That's going to affect some major decisions, and could have put folks out of business, folks that could stay in business. How many positions would they have to cut?
Yeah, it's an infrastructure.
Yeah.
And you're damaging it.
Yeah, absolutely.
At the base, which is where the entry-level positions begin,
Absolutely. So the voters decided. I want you to remember two things. A, I'm oversimplifying things. There's a lot more in the discussion here that we could get into in if we had more than 7 minutes to talk. And two, like the disclaimer said when we came back from commercial, the opinions expressed by the host are not necessarily those of KHTS, its employers, or owners. But in the end, I'm not sharing opinion. I'm sharing facts. But I should probably get out to break before I get myself in trouble. I'm Matt Watson. You're listening to SCVi and iLead School's Eye on the Valley. We'll be right back on your hometown station, KHTS. Welcome back. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. I am Matt Watson, your host, and this is SCVi and iLead School's Eye on the Valley. Joining me now is, one of the most unassuming yet inspirational humans here in the Valley. Bradley Gross is the founder of the Santa Clarita Grocery, where he and his team work undeterred to make sure that everyone in our community has the food and grocery items that they need. Santa Clarita Grocery operates as an all-volunteer organization serving a week's worth of groceries and personal care items for their guests, including fresh milk, eggs, produce, canned goods, dried goods, meat, deli products, breads, pretty much everything that you need from the grocery store. Bradley, welcome back to Eye on the Valley.
Well, thank you, Matt. It's such a pleasure to be back here. It's been like a year or something.
Yeah, right? I was looking back on our schedule. Right. I can't believe it's been this long. But your schedule's been a little bit busy, and this is a great time of year to have you in to talk about what you're doing. And kind of serendipitous. Just found out you all are in a bit of a pinch as we head into the holiday season.
Right. So it's called Thanksgiving pinch.
Yeah.
And it's usually a goggle or what sounds do turkeys make? Anyhow,
Joe Messina was getting his gobble on just about an hour and a half ago here on the show, and he was promoting one of his sponsors, and he was just gobbling away.
Right. Yeah. So we usually plan in June for our turkey meals and giveaway at the charity. And so this is the first year in 5 years that we didn't have turkeys donated to us. So we were turning rocks over, looking for new places, new opportunities, and we finally landed on one of our food retailers in Santa Clarita, and we had never worked with them on turkeys before.
Okay.
And so we'd been working since June to secure 100 to 200 turkeys. Mm-hmm. That started going a little sideways because there's all these commitments and how many birds and how many you're selling and all that. So very quickly from June till this week, we were realized that we were not going to have turkeys to distribute.
Oh, man. Okay, so first of all, it surprises me. I don't start thinking about Thanksgiving until after Election Day, like most Americans, right? But y'all have to get it. You're not just thinking about it. You've got to have it solved by June, right? Because of the scale, right? You've got to, like you said, you got to procure 100 birds, not one or two, like most families.
And our goal was 200, right?
Okay,
that's what we were shooting for.
All right, and so you had things kind of lined up until this week. The week before Thanksgiving, you find out that not only is it, oops, our family doesn't have a turkey, it's, oops, a couple hundred families don't have a turkey for Thanksgiving.
Right. And you can't generally walk into a grocery store and say, hey, could I buy 100 or 200 of your turkeys? Because the smaller stores, they don't, maybe that's all that they've purchased for the Thanksgiving, so you just don't know. So that was our predicament. As of yesterday, but earlier in the week we realized we were not going to get donations. We were going to need to find a way to purchase them at the same cost that anybody can purchase them, right?
Okay, so you're not even getting that 10% discount.
No discount on that.
Okay, so you were... Well, you were hoping for, I don't want to say counting on, but traditionally you've had 100 to 200 turkeys donated that obviously you're giving out to families in need.
Correct.
This year you realized a week before the holiday that you're going to have to pay retail for as many turkeys as you can.
Right.
So first of all, the biggest trick, right? Have you secured a provider? Have you secured a place where you can buy 200 turkeys this late in the game?
Well, I was on the phone with the retailer that was not able to provide them to us.
Okay.
While I was in another store checking out their turkeys, and they had them, and I went to the manager and asked, would you be able to sell us a pallet of turkeys? Yeah. And they're like, they had just happened to purchase 2 extra pallets. I didn't even know that. So check that out. So while I'm there, I realize, all right, the eagle has landed. We will be able to purchase these turkeys. So I reached out to the other organization again and said, hey, we found a path to go on, and so we're going to take that path again, knowing that we're going to need to do a very speedy fundraise,
right? Because when you run a free grocery store, you don't just whip out the corporate checkbook and trim a little off your profits because you're a nonprofit, but you're a free grocery store. You can't reach into the till and grab a few $100s and go purchase some turkeys. So
that's right.
So let's hit that first, right? You need folks to help you out because you're helping out those in need. Where do people go to help you pay for these holiday turkeys?
Well, our active place of information is Facebook.
Okay.
And that's Santa Clarita Grocery at Facebook. There's a QR code there you can scan with your phone, and it goes to PayPal, and you can make a contribution if you feel so inclined. Also, our website is santaclaritagrocery.org. It also has a QR code. But really, when we're faced with these kind of last-minute challenges, I like to kind of break it down in a simple way that we would need 20 people who would like to make a contribution to bless many people, a $100 contribution, and that would take care of the turkeys for 2024. Just something that simple. That would get us 150 birds.
Bradley, that's easy. That's easy.
Right.
20 people giving $100 to provide turkeys for 200 families here in the valley that otherwise would not have a Thanksgiving dinner for their family.
That's correct.
I've just posted in our Facebook Live feed. It looks pretty ugly because it doesn't give me a preview, but I posted the link to your Facebook post.
Thank you.
It's got that QR code. Beautiful graphics, by the way. There's a cool little truck here with a holiday theme, the Thanksgiving theme there. You got your QR code. So now that folks have got that post, they can go to Facebook and then search Santa Clarita Grocery.
That's correct.
Your name is simple enough to remember, or santaclaritagrocery.org. So look into it, and while we're talking, they can check out and make sure that you are the amazing organization that you are. Kind of vet it, right? Because you don't want to just throw pearls to swine, right? That's why we want to make sure that we're given to good organizations, which you guys are, which is why we keep having you back. So check them out. While we talk about your story, Bradley, tell me about Santa Clarita Grocery. Where did the idea come from? How did it get started? What was the spark, and what fanned the flames?
Right. Well, I was at my professional career was with Walt Disney Studios for 20 years, and that was making magic for children.
Wow.
The flip side of that is the families and children that can't go to Disneyland, especially nowadays. It's just so expensive, right?
It's gotten out of control.
So anyway, we just reached our 7-year, November 3rd, we began our 7th year in operation.
Okay.
Where it began was there was an organization that's very near and dear to KHTS, and it's called Santa Clarita Coalition, and they do disaster relief, and we thought maybe humanitarian relief would be a good fit, and over a short period of time, we realized that it's a perfect fit, humanitarian and disaster relief. So, in fact, the coalition is manned by the employees that volunteer their time to keep that coalition going, and that's been from Saugus school shootings to fires, people's homes burning, and they provide dollar for dollar to people in need. So that's where that began, and then KHTS was kind enough to be our sponsor to get the news out of immediate needs and so forth, and their great web and social media team, they took care of us that way. And so we team up on different things for the good for the community. So that had to be established first.
Sure.
And then off we went with a handful of people. We decided they had volunteered at other food banks, and and we decided, all right, let's team up and let's launch this thing. So interesting, when you launch something, it was charity, and it had a different name. And it was not connecting with people because there's a stigma attached to charity.
Sure. I get that.
And so people are, well, and other people need it worse than I, when that isn't necessarily the truth. If you are in need of groceries, you're in need.
Yeah.
It's not a status thing. It's a life thing, right?
Sure.
And all of us have gone through periods in our life where you've needed groceries, not enough paycheck at the end of the month, right?
Absolutely.
So we launched, and shortly thereafter, the pandemic hit.
Okay, so, oh gosh. All right.
Which wiped out a lot of new launches, right?
Yeah.
Well, the saving graces was Catherine Barger at the city council deemed us essential of all the things. Remember, you couldn't get food or toilet paper or nothing.
Right.
And we went from 162 families a month to 800 in 90 days.
Whoa.
And that forged something in our volunteers.
Okay.
That when you experienced that, you watched. It was kind of like, we called it our 5 loaves, 2 fish phase.
Okay.
How do you feed 5,000 people with 5 loaves and 2 fish?
Sure.
And so
You call Supervisor Barger.
That's it. And what happened is, Joan at Child and Family Center reached out to us one day and said, hey, would you be interested in this program? Would I? I just happened to be at my computer. Responded back, yes, not knowing what it was. Well, it was direct from the farmland, the farms, produce, meat, and dairy. We got accepted in. And guess what? Delivered to our warehouse store every Friday was 3 tons of food.
Whoa.
That met that new demand. And that happened that quickly.
That is beautiful.
Right.
That is absolutely beautiful.
Right.
Certainly a need. So I was on your website and I was looking, some pretty impressive numbers from 2023.
Right.
Over 1.2 million pounds of food was distributed out of your grocery store, Santa Clarita Grocery.
Right.
So can you break it down? How do your shelves get stocked? And then what's the delivery? Do you have like prepackaged bags? Here's one for you. Here's one for you. Or
Right. No. So being an all-volunteer organization, we have 3 primary teams aside from the people that own their load-bearing volunteers that own about 20 hours a week of their time.
Okay.
There are our transportation team. They pick up from every food retailer in the Santa Clarita Valley, from Sprouts to Costco to both Walmarts, all 3 Vons, Albertson, everywhere.
These stores are just giving you food to
even
put on your
Bevmo,
shelves.
believe it or not. They have a really amazing grocery portion of their store. Even small mom and pop places like Bagel Boys and Italia over in Valencia by Valencia High School. So our transportation picks up 6 days a week before the guys go out to work. Usually I say guys because you have to live up to 50-pound boxes, right?
Okay.
You need a truck. And so anyway, we pick up daily, take it to the warehouse. We have our second team called the intake team, and they QC all the food. Their goal really is to set up the food for distribution.
Right.
So all the good apples go in a box, all the good bananas, all the fruits, veggies, all the meats go in the freezer, so on and so forth. And so that there's 12 intake teams.
Okay.
You know, that rotate, that Monday through Friday are going through it, setting it up. And then there's our distribution team. And they are really the face of the operation because we're dealing with our guests, what we call our guests, not our clients.
Right. Okay. Okay.
And so that's kind of a high level how the operation looks, but we distribute 3 times a week, Monday night, Wednesday night, 5 to 7, Saturday morning, 9 o'clock to 11.
Okay.
And another blessing from COVID was we had to go to a drive-up, drive drive-through kind of
Sure,
thing.
yeah, because prior, folks would come in and shop like they
Right.
normally would, I remember.
So if you could imagine 100 people touching the same tomato,
Right.
by the end of the day, it was like crazy, and only so many people, occupancy-wise, could be in the warehouse. So that enabled us to serve 10 times the amount of people.
By doing a
Put
drive-through.
a drive up, we put a cone on your car, and we have our stellar youth of this valley that are runners. They run our groceries to the cars. They're getting their AP volunteer points, which is the coolest thing. And we're mentoring them to be young leaders. So
Love it.
So they get to actually lead on our Saturday distribution.
Okay.
They're the leader.
Beautiful.
Everyone goes to them. So it's kind of like the first job for some of them.
Yeah.
And it's so much fun taking these young people and pushing them, and watching them grow as young leaders.
Gosh, you talk about a win-win-win-win-win.
Right.
So you've got pretty much all of the local grocery stores, including
Correct.
some of the smaller ones in town, donating goods on a weekly basis.
Right.
You're stocking your shelves with no cost.
Correct.
Which is the same cost that you're providing for your guests.
That is
They're
correct.
coming in. You're building leadership and philanthropy in young folks, and you're using their strong young backs, which is a good.
That's right.
A good
That's right.
decision.
Right.
But as we mentioned, just a few minutes ago, your plan for turkeys for Thanksgiving fell through.
Right.
And so you're struggling last minute. You found some turkeys,
Right.
but you got to pay retail for them.
That's right. $1.04 a pound.
$1.04 a pound.
Good old butterball turkeys.
Okay, but the challenge you're throwing out to the community, as I mentioned, was an easy one. You're looking for 20 people to donate $100.
Right.
My brother Big T is texting in right now. He was a math major. He says KHTS listeners are generous, so we only need 10 to donate $200.
Awesome.
So I'm thinking we've already got $200 knocked off. Tony, have you already donated? We'll check with him a little bit later on in the hour.
Awesome.
So I'm hoping so. We're going to take a quick break. Bradley Gross is the founder and operator of Santa Clarita Grocery, Santa Clarita's free grocery store serving your neighbors in need. But this Thanksgiving, they themselves are in need of your help. Check them out at santaclaritagrocery.org. Go to their Facebook page. Super easy. Facebook, and then just go in the top left corner and search Santa Clarita Grocery. Hit that QR code and throw them $100, maybe $200, like Big T's going to do, and we'll get those families fed for Thanksgiving. We'll be right back. I am Matt Watson, and this is SCVi and iLead School's Eye on the Valley. You're listening to your hometown station, KHTS.
If you need help at home or at the office, call Made For You. Made For You is a locally owned, bonded, and licensed cleaning service with over 20 years of experience. All employees are vetted for your protection. No need to buy products or equipment. The Made For You staff comes complete with everything needed to make your home or office cleaner than ever. Hire Made For You one time, as needed, or an ongoing basis. No room is off limits. Laundry and ironing services are also available. Call Made For You for a free estimate. 255-2922. That's 255-2922.
Fruit arranged like flowers? What a delicious idea! Edible Arrangements specializes in creating a variety of fresh fruit arrangements overflowing with fresh, hand-designed fruit and filled with strawberries, pineapple, grapes, cantaloupe, honeydew, and seasonal favorites. Made to order in a size you select and ready to eat and enjoy. You can even add chocolate to any arrangement. Edible Arrangements is always fresh, always appropriate, and always appreciated. Order yours today, 253-0052 or ediblearrangements.com. Edible Arrangements is on Soledad near Bouquet Canyon.
Santa Clarita Valley residents now have greater access to the excellent physicians and high-quality medical services for which Providence Holy Cross is known. Providence Holy Cross Health Center in Santa Clarita features state-of-the-art cancer and imaging technologies, as well as board-certified physicians in a variety of medical specialties. Quality and compassion from a healthcare provider you can depend on. For more information, call 1-888-HEALING or visit us at providence.org.
Marston's Restaurant has been a Pasadena landmark, voted the best breakfast in California by the Food Network magazine. Discover Marston's Santa Clarita location, open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Marston's also has a fantastic catering menu that adds a delicious twist to any event. And they cater picnic dinners for that memorable romantic date. Experience Marston's on Newhall Ranch Road and McBean, or log on to marstonsrestaurant.com.
Why did Mercedes-Benz of Valencia win the Dealer of Excellence Award in 2019?
because we strive to provide the most outstanding sales experience.
Mercedes-Benz of Valencia COO Chris Paz.
We know you have high expectations. Our stellar team will meet and exceed your expectations. That's why we were named Mercedes Best of the Best, placing us in the top 10% of all Mercedes dealers nationwide.
Find out how you can lease a new Mercedes for unbelievably low monthly payments. Details at mbzvalencia.com.
Your hometown station.
KHTS is the only station I listen to.
98.1 FM and AM 1220.
Welcome back. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. I am Matt Watson, your host, and you are listening to SCVi and iLead School's Eye on the Valley. And I'm joined this morning by Bradley Gross, founder and operator of Santa Clarita Grocery, Santa Clarita's free grocery store, offering a week's worth of free groceries to those who need it year-round. But this week more than ever, it's the grocery store itself that needs your help. We were talking earlier about, Bradley, about your plans to procure turkeys for Thanksgiving dinner for up to 200 families. Your plans have to be locked in by June, and things fell through just this week. Right. And so we're working to get some donations to help families celebrate Thanksgiving during this holiday. We do have some corrections. We've got some updates. Right. I understand you mentioned before all of the different grocery stores in town, Albertsons, Vons, Costco, Walmart, even, was it Bevmo that provides some grocery stuffs? But you've got some other providers that are also helping you on a regular basis.
Right. And that's the faith-based community.
Okay.
Have done an amazing job, and I'll just list off some of those. But
Please.
First Presbyterian Church during that COVID period,
yes,
they really came through, them and Bethlehem Lutheran. They started doing monthly food drives and dropped the food of a whole trailer full every first Monday of the month. Mm-hmm. They have continued that to this day. Also, Haven House in Placerita Canyon, Beth Shalom Temple that is right by our warehouse. Mm-hmm. They just did their first food drive for us. So it was so exciting. They got so excited, and we got a really, really good food drive with them. First Christian Church, that little one behind the bike shop, a little place, but a big contributor to us. Also, Real Life Church was one of the foundational when there was real big disaster needs, fires and whatnot. They've really been a rock solid supporter of us with volunteers and with food drives.
Okay.
So that's to list some of them. And then for Thanksgiving, there's been 3 organizations that have really helped us with the fixings. Again, we were taking this step of
we've been talking about turkeys, but what about my cranberry sauce?
I know. So one of them is Dubner Real Estate.
Okay.
And they did a fixing food drive for us. And then another one was Michelle and Jose Alonso from Alonso Realty. They have been a big supporter of us as well. So they're working on the fixings as well. And then there was a third group of people called Contractors Wardrobe.
All right.
They've this second year that they've done a fixings assist for us, and also a group called Grace Life Church. And they did. So it was those 4 entities that have done all the side dishes that will go with those birds when we get them.
When we get them, and I do want to update a little bit on that. But yeah, Thanksgiving turkey's fantastic.
Right.
My favorite Thanksgiving turkey is the Thanksgiving turkey that comes on Black Friday. That turkey sandwich, cold turkey sandwich with some mayonnaise on there, a little bit of
It's called Lefties.
Oh,
and
man,
love
Lefties.
They are the best.
There we go. But Thanksgiving turkey is great, but it's even so much better when it comes with the stuffing, the mashed potatoes, the gravy, the cranberry sauce.
Right.
Are you a fresh cranberry sauce guy, or are you like me? Do you like the cranberry sauce that still has the date stamped in it from the can?
That you slice with a butter knife.
Absolutely. I want my side dish to still have the can's ridges on it.
Boink. That's how we grew up.
I love it. But you're looking, you said, for those turkeys, because your turkeys should have been secured by June.
Right.
They fell through.
Right.
tell me again the call that you're issuing out to the community. How many folks do you need to donate how much?
Well, it's important to just make it a very simple ask.
Yeah.
And that is for what the cost of the turkeys is. If we had 20 people who wish to step up to put $100 in, that covers the turkeys for this Thanksgiving, which would be 150 birds.
Okay, and so slight update there. We're currently looking for 18 people to step up and give $100. During the break, engineer Jen took care of her job. She's got it right there.
Jen.
She's waving her phone.
Awesome.
My phone did its job during the break.
Awesome.
And then we're going to check in with Big T when he calls in, because I know he's doing his share. So we're looking for we're at the mid-teens portion right now, and we're hoping to get it. You know what? Let's get this done before the end of the hour. We've got 26 minutes to get 18 more turkeys taken care of, or 18 more families to donate $100.
It's like a telethon.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
We got 27 minutes, folks.
It's Matt's quarterly telethon.
Yeah. There we go. But no, seriously, let's make sure that every family in the Santa Clarita Valley has a turkey to celebrate Thanksgiving with their family. Bradley, Thanksgiving is love me some Christmas. Don't get me wrong. Waking up and smelling the gingerbread and opening presents with the kids is great. Thanksgiving has always been my favorite holiday. There's something special about when the entire country, 350 million people, just stop, turn their eyes upward, and give thanks.
Right.
Gratitude is powerful.
That's right.
Speaking of gratitude, so I mentioned some of the, what was it, 1.2 million pounds of groceries you gave away to our neighbors in need last year. That's 2023.
Right.
How's this year looking? I know you still got another month and a half to go.
Right.
But what's 2024 looking like in comparison?
Well, what I did this time, Matt, was broke it down to how many meals we served in 2023 across that tonnage, right? Mm-hmm. And so our average in 2023 was serving 40 to 50 families per distribution, so that's 3 times in a week.
Okay.
So you're looking at 150 individuals, just say for the math, right?
All right.
And that's across children, parents, adults, veterans, whoever does come at the distribution. So that's 7,200 people in 2023.
Wow.
That we served, and that's 14 meals a week.
Okay.
Which is a conservative. It's not saying 3 meals. It's 2 meals a day across 7 days. And that was 109,200 meals we served in 2023. Now, what's fascinating is we all know the economy has been a challenge. And so we've had quite an increase in 2024. And I'm going to do the December forecast rolled into this. But this year, our average is 60 to 70 families. That's what we've been hitting at. So that's 210 people a week, which is 10,900 individuals this year we will have served, which is 43,000 meal increase than last year. And so that's a 68% increase just due to the economy. And these are regular people, regular hardworking people is the majority of them, and that's really the beauty of this. It's pay your bills.
Yep.
Let us get you through the valley, and don't let that homeless cycle knock on your door where you bought food instead of paying your bills. And then you're late, and then it just starts domino effect, right? So we encourage, come here. It's not a status thing at all. In fact, there's people in the community in various leader roles that we, on off schedule, we even take care of their needs privately.
Wow. Yeah, so it may be, a rough time. Maybe you're going through a patch, or maybe rent has just gotten away from so many folks. Don't decide, am I going to pay the rent or am I going to buy groceries this week?
Right.
Let Bradley and his team help take care of you. It's
and
not
that's
a
weekly
thing.
too. You come weekly, and for however long your challenge is, or your food insecure challenge, and generally food insecurity is not the problem.
Okay.
It's usually you've lost a job, like the bottom drops out somewhere. Food is critical in that. So really, our mission is let's get you through that time. And we have the privilege of meeting some of the coolest people that we get to know, because true charity, if you break it down, is caring for people without expecting anything in return, and sharing love to them, giving them a hand, giving them a hug. I hug some of the most incredible people. I don't know them, but some days you just realize someone just needs a hug and say, hey, you're going to go home with your groceries today.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful experience, you know, all taken care of by some of the most incredible volunteers in this valley.
Yeah.
I tell you, top notch.
So you mentioned that folks will often kind of worry. Well, I'm not, my need isn't that bad, but if Santa Clarita Grocery can help out, then you belong there. So I want to help any listeners that are out there that are thinking, yeah, it's going to be tough. I don't know where the turkey's coming from this year, or not sure how I'm going to do groceries a week from now. How do folks get involved? Is there an application process? Do they go to your website? Do they show up at the store?
Yeah, you just show up. If you're in need, show up. And there's just a one-page document you fill out. It's one side of one page. We made it simple, and we're not going to ask you for your firstborn child or any financial documents. We just want to verify you live where you live. And then how many people in your family are going to need food, and then we portion out the food accordingly. So if you have 6 people, if mom and dad live with you and a couple kids and the parents, and there were 6, 7 people, we still try to meet that need of a week's worth of groceries.
Fantastic. Show up, fill out a quick form, and you've got your groceries next week. We're taking care of your turkeys. Your neighbors are going to take care of you. We're going to do this. You get your Thanksgiving turkey and all the fixins for your feast next week. So folks can just show up. Show up where? Where's your store, Bradley?
So we're at Center Point Parkway, right behind Carl Boyer Walmart.
Okay. All right. You're over there by the Hart School District.
That's correct. Right at the top of the hill, at the furniture, what is the name of that? It's the furniture warehouse there.
Okay.
And we're in the warehouse right in the back. We have a big American flag on our building.
Okay.
It's the ID. When you see the flag, you know that's where we're at.
There we go.
And again, we only distribute 3 times a week. So if you show up in the day, that's not going to do you any good. So check out the times. Monday night, Wednesday night, 5 to 7.
Okay.
If you work during the week and can't make that, we have Saturday morning, 9 to 11. And if you show up, you will go home with groceries. And the beautiful transition that happens when you are food insecure or concerned about what are we going to do for this week, fear comes with that, all kinds of anxieties come with it, but it's so cool to see that diminished every week, 3 times a week. You just see the sigh of everything's going to be okay.
Sure, and I'm sure folks can feel maybe a little bit uncomfortable or awkward that first time, but after a couple times, I'm going grocery shopping. Going to the grocery store. My buddy Bradley's there. He's got some great kids with strong backs that are going to load my trunk. That is fantastic.
And we have our team leaders of Jill and Barry and Karen and Dan and Lisa and Susan, Rita. The list goes on. They're the ones that do a heavy lift and a heavy load, right? And Susie, she runs our. It's just a big group of professional people, so they get the job done to ensure that people are taken well care of.
Sure. And one last time, Santa Clarita Grocery, right behind the Walmart on Carl Boyer. Great big American flag marks the spot. You can show up, you said Monday and Wednesday evening, 5 to 7.
That's right.
Or Saturday morning, 9 to 11. Show up, and they've got free groceries for you because rent is next to impossible nowadays. And who knows what else you may be going through. And maybe you've just got an unexpected family coming in town for the holidays.
Right.
We're now down to, as far as we know, we need 18 families that are willing to donate $100 to get 150 turkeys to feed our families in need. And so, go to SantaClaritaGrocery.org. There's a QR code there. Go to Facebook and just search Santa Clarita Grocery. Their pinned post there also has the QR code. Got a cool little truck sitting there in front of some pumpkins. Scan the QR code and you can PayPal them $100 to feed 150 families for this Thanksgiving holiday. Bradley, anything else you want to share before we wrap?
The address is 21176 Center Point Parkway.
21176.
Center Point Parkway.
All right. Fantastic. Again, SantaClaritaGrocery.org. Bradley Gross, founder and operator of Santa Clarita Grocery. Bradley, you're such a great guy. I love, you walk in the room and you bring such amazing energy. You bring tremendous blessing to our community. And we're so grateful to have you and your staff and all of your partners everywhere around town who work with you. Happy Thanksgiving. God bless you. We will see you soon, sir.
You too. Thank you, Matt.
Of course. And you all stick around. We've got Big T when you come back. He's everybody's favorite waste of time. We will be right back. I am Matt Watson. This is SCVi and iLead Schools' Eye on the Valley on your hometown station, KHTS. Hey, wait. Where's my bowling pin? All right, here we go. Welcome back. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is SCVi and iLead Schools' Eye on the Valley. I am your host, Matt Watson. And if you're just joining us, boy, did you miss an amazing show. Earlier in the show, we had... How many times can we say this? We had 8th grade triplets from iLead Exploration, your free public home study program, individualized learning. These triplets... They've designed an experiment. No, they didn't conduct something their teacher taught them. They designed their own experiment that they're sending to the International Space Station. And they're doing space exploration while they're in 8th grade. Check their school out at iLeadExploration.org. Check out all of our schools at iLeadSchools.org. And then just a few minutes ago, we had Bradley Gross in here. Bradley Gross is the purveyor of Santa Clarita Grocery, free grocery store right here in Santa Clarita, providing a week's worth of groceries to your neighbors in need. But this Thanksgiving season, the ones in need are Bradley and his staff. They had a couple of hundred turkeys on the way, and the turkeys got lost. And aren't going to make it. So they need to go out. They got to pay retail. Most of their groceries are donated by generous grocers around town, but they got to go buy some turkeys for our neighbors to have Thanksgiving dinner this year. They need your help. We need 18 more families in the next 13 minutes to donate $100 to Santa Clarita Grocery to buy those turkeys for our neighbors in need so that we can all have an amazing Thanksgiving. Again, go to SantaClaritaGrocery.org or go to Facebook and search Santa Clarita Grocery. Hit that QR code. Send them $100. You'll feed 150 families a nice Thanksgiving turkey this season. But now, we've had a little invasion here in the studio. We had a USC fan come walking in. We had another one come busting through the door. I need a little backup. Let's bring in the Pacific Northwest's biggest Bruin fan. It is time for Big T's 5 Minutes of Fame. Big T is an executive, philanthropist, and Bruin fan. He's an amazing father, husband, dog dad, and sports fan. He has a face that will make you agnostic. Here he is, everybody. He's Mom's favorite. Big T, welcome to the show.
Go Bruins.
Go Bruins, indeed. Big T, speaking of Go Bruins, every week we get Papa's pick of the week. Papa... Well, gosh, you're going to want to fade Papa because as of last week, he was 3-6. He took BYU -2.5. Spoiler alert, I know the answer, but how did Papa do last week, Tony?
Papa did not do so well last week. BYU lost outright. That makes Papa 3-6. But
that makes Papa 3-6 or 3-7? I got him 3-7.
3-7, excuse me.
3-7.
But we are not fading. We are not fading Papa this week.
Okay, pause. Because normally I would say, when Papa's giving gambling advice, Papa don't preach. But who's he taking this week?
Papa's taking the Bruins in 5
Go
points.
Bruins! He's taking the Bruins and the 5 points.
Yes, sir.
Where did you get 5?
There's a friend of Papa's who sounds like Rick, who says it's 4.5, but we're giving Papa the 5.
All right. A little inside humor here on the show. All right, but let's just say Papa's taking the Bruins, like all wise sports fans this week. All righty, so good luck to you, Papa.
I do have to laugh, though. You're trying to stick it to poor Andrew over here, our USC fan.
Oh, no!
You have your Bruins.
Oh, no! I just looked at the Facebook Live
feed. But you can't even see it. So.
Jen, what'd you do with that graphic?
Fantastic.
I'm just trying to help Andrew out here. I'm sorry.
Jiminy Christmas.
You know where my loyalties lie.
Let's
Thank
fix
you.
that.
Thank you.
Let's fix that. We got this. We got the. Excuse me.
Oh no, it's
Yeah,
slipping
sure.
away.
There we
Whoops.
go.
Oh, it fell on the ground.
Hey, Frogger,
Oh my
Frogger,
gosh.
I'm still here.
All right, Big T.
I'm still here, Frogger.
You're still here. Do you have any trivia questions for us?
I do have some trivia questions. We ready to roll?
What? No, let's hit the rules really quick. Jen, Andrew, Frogger is me. We're going to play, but you at home, we're going to hit our buzzers. You don't have to hit your You know what? Shout out the answers if you don't. Big T, let's do this.
Perfect. So, little fun fact, in 2008, a 13-year-old schoolboy was arrested and charged by a school resource officer for disruption of school functions for, get this, Frogger, sorry. Jen, keep your finger on that button. Excessive flatulence and turning off classmates' computers. The inappropriate young lad was said to be breaking wind on purpose excessively.
On purpose.
So, on purpose.
Okay.
So, what state did this occur in? You guessed it, Florida.
Okay. See, I was going
When
to
in
New
doubt.
Jersey.
When in doubt.
Hey, Big T, I've got a trivia question for you. This is a fun one, and y'all throw it out there, but I can guarantee you, while y'all know the song, you're going to get this one wrong. So, who wrote the song "A Boy Named Sue"?
You would think Johnny Cash,
Johnny
but
Cash,
by what you're saying, I'm probably wrong.
Right. It is not Johnny Cash. Johnny Cash did record it out there at Folsom County Prison. You know who wrote it and actually gave the song to Johnny Cash?
Who's that, Maddie?
He wrote it. He recorded it. He won a Grammy for it. Shel Silverstein. That's right. Where the Sidewalk Ends. Sister Sarah, Sylvia Stout, Shel Silverstein. If you go back and listen to the lyrics, you can tell.
It makes sense.
It was Uncle
his
Shelby.
style of writing.
Yeah. And he won a Grammy for it.
That's awesome.
He was actually inspired when he met a judge years earlier named Sue K. Hicks, a gentleman judge named Sue Hicks, who was named by his father, was named Sue when his mother died during childbirth, his mother Susanna. And so Dad named him Sue. And he went on to become, a judge, not a fighter in the Old West. All right.
I like it.
Perfect.
You got any trivia questions, Tony?
Yeah, I do. Since we're running short on time, I won't finish my fun fact.
Oh, okay. I thought you were done.
No, I know.
We like a cliffhanger here.
What's a baby kangaroo called?
Andrew.
Jen.
Andrew.
Joey.
Joey's correct.
I like to call him Billy.
What country is known for the land of the rising sun?
Frogger.
Andrew.
Frogger.
Japan.
Japan is correct. Hold on. Big T's going to scat that call. If someone spills the tea or spills the Kool-Aid,
Andrew.
what are they doing?
Gossiping.
Gossiping. I didn't hear a name.
I did. Yeah, he called it.
Yeah, it was called.
Yeah, he said it.
He called it. Like most Trojan fans, he's a little bit bashful and he's going in hiding.
But we get the correct answer and win.
Yeah.
Gossip is correct. Where can you find the world's most crooked street?
Jen.
Andrew.
I'll give that to Jen.
Thanks.
Engineer Andrew conducting his own charity mission this week.
Well, you know what? I took that the wrong way. It's because I helped him out with hiding your scarf there. I did him with solid. Is it San Francisco?
San Francisco is correct.
It is.
If someone is visiting the Big Easy, what city are they in?
Frogger.
Frogger.
That'd be Nolans.
Nala. What do cows drink?
Frogger.
Frogger.
Water.
Water is correct. Don't overthink it.
Right.
What's the tiny piece of plastic at the end of a shoelace called?
Oh man.
The holes. Wait.
That's a weird.
I'm gonna go. I don't think this is right. I'm going with eyelet.
No.
That is incorrect.
Those are the holes.
That's the holes.
Yeah.
Correct. Anybody?
Nope.
The aglet goes into the eyelet.
Okay.
Eyelet and the aglet. That's like it's like the stalactite and the stalagmite. Yeah. Okay.
What's the main ingredient of traditional Japanese sake?
Frogger.
Andrew.
Frogger.
Rice.
Rice is correct.
Rice wine.
For no points, where can you get a $1.95 sake at happy hour in Santa Clarita?
For no points.
Please tell me. Where is this?
All right. I don't know if the boss is going to be mad at us for promoting, but Kabuki's got the greatest happy hour in town.
What's the largest type of bear?
Jen.
Frogger.
Jen.
Grizzly?
Incorrect. Frogger.
No, that was my answer. Frogger. I'm going to go black bear.
Incorrect. Andrew, you got anything?
Polar?
Polar bear is correct. We would have also taken the one chasing you or the one in your campground.
Oh, okay.
Yogi.
That one right over there.
Exactly. And which country did table tennis originate?
Andrew?
Andrew.
China?
Incorrect.
Frogger.
Frogger.
The United States of America.
Incorrect.
The UK.
The UK. England.
Nice. Good guess.
What's the only fruit that has its seeds on the outside?
Jen.
Oh.
Jen.
Strawberries.
Strawberries, correct. What do you call a male bee that mates with the queen?
Frogger.
Jen.
Frogger.
That's a drone.
Is this
Why are you giggling, Andrew?
Your question, Andrew?
Andrew's answer was my cousin Chewy.
What kind of trees do acorns come from?
Frogger.
Frogger.
Oak.
Oak is correct. What is Sheldon Cooper's favorite number in The Big Bang Theory?
Oh.
Frogger.
Wow.
Frogger.
Pie.
that you would think. No. You either know it or you don't. So 73.
Yeah.
Okay. One more, Big T.
Fear of heights?
Fear of heights?
Yes.
Oh my gosh,
I
phobia.
know.
It's acrophobia. You want one more or no?
Acrophobia. One more, Tony.
All right. What did the crocodile swallow in Peter Pan?
Jen.
Oh.
Jen.
Clock.
Clock is correct.
That gives Jen 4, Frogger 6. Trojans lose again.
Oh.
Big T, thanks for swinging by. We want to thank our
Right
guests,
on.
8th grade triplet scientists, space explorers, Capri, Ryder, Grayson, Yagella, Bradley Gross, founder of Santa Clarita Grocery Free Grocery Store, producer Sarah, engineer Andrew, engineer Jen, and thank you for listening, and happy Thanksgiving, y'all. I am so thankful for you. Remember, friends, life is hard, but we're all here to help each other along. Be well, do good, and go to SantaClaritaGrocery.org and donate a couple of turkeys. Join us again next week and every Friday, 8 to 10 a.m. I'm Matt Watson, and this is SCVi and iLead School's Eye on the Valley on your hometown station, KHTS.